parkway in my automobile, trying to get back to my pappy's corn liquor steal. Soon as I crossed that Buncombe County line, something in the air blew my podcast up high. It was a wisdom from the chicks in the city sticks, and I knew right then it was gonna be my fix. No need for white lightning to get my start. It's hey Lord, have mercy and bless your heart. Lordy, yeah, you know what I mean. It's not strange, take it from me. Lordy, come and listen to see weird mountain gals on the party. Up on Weird Mountain, they've been getting their kicks, jamming on the porch just a hit and mash, stirring up the pot, that's what they do best. They can dish it out till there ain't none left. W-Y-R-D, yeah, you know what I mean. No, it's not strange, you can take it from me. W-Y-R-D, so come and listen to see Weird Mountain Gals on the party. Well, I finally found my pappy's corn liquor steal, filled up the jug and had to hit the trail. Gotta get back to the cottage in the Mashville woods, to the Weird Mountain Gals neighborhood. W-Y-R-D, yeah, you know what I mean. It's not strange, you can take it from me. W-Y-R-D, come and listen and see Weird Mountain Gals on the party. It's them Weird Mountain Gals on the party. It's them Weird Mountain Gals on the party.
Do you consider yourself normal? Then this is not the show for you. Please go somewhere else. This is WYRD. If it's getting weird, it's got to be the Weird Mountain Gals show. You're listening to Byron and Alicia, the Weird Mountain Gals.
You and we are mountain folk, but in addition to that, we're Southerners, and we've been treated once too many times to that sweet, saccharine, sweet person who then tells you, honey, that you've got such a pretty face. You would be so beautiful if you would just lose 45 pounds.
Oh my God.
Honey. Yeah. How many times have you heard that?
I've heard that 3 times that I remember. And all 3 times I was much younger than I am now. So I was hired to be one of the people that would answer the phone and answer questions and make sales for them. And I did. And I remember being told one day that, we'd really like to promote you and put you right up here at front, but you need to lose about 15 pounds. And except I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember how he said it, but it was a he. And he also kind of said that he'd like to date me, but I just needed to lose a little weight. So that was the first time I quit that job. Well, I put in a notice and left that job because of that.
Good for you. Good for you.
The next one was the one for the old fella at that phone room on Merriman Avenue, that dude.
Yes. Oh my God.
And another one was a music management company that basically said, we'll sponsor you, give you a music video, send you on tour, blah, blah, blah. You got to do this and you got to lose some weight. And by the way, they also, previously to that, they had me and a lot of the other girls on something called Pen. And Pen was P-H-E-N. And It was, we would go.
Oh, like Fen.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Fen.
It was two
It was
different.
fentanyl. Yeah, it
It
was
wasn't
two
a
different.
downer. No, it wasn't a downer. It was like,
No.
it was like big time
It
speed.
was an upper.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we'd get a B12 shot, and we'd get a prescription for these pills that I just thought it was called speed on the street. And they had green ones, blue and clear ones, and green and clear ones. And we basically, the whole busload of us were on that all the time. But I needed 15 more pounds to get gone. And it's like, damn, I wish they could see me now. I need more than 15 pounds. And, so I'd go, hey, look at this big old body.
Well, I have cousins. I have some of the most beautiful cousins in the world, and their grandfather, I believe, grandfather was a Cherokee, so they have that lovely kind of cafe au lait skin and thick black hair, and just beautiful, beautiful women. And I remember one of the most beautiful of my cousins. My cousin who was big like me and who loved me and who was my very best friend growing up, she said, you know what? We need to get us a job at that magazine called, do you remember the magazine BBW, Big Beautiful Woman magazine?
No,
He said, we need to get a job at that magazine modeling clothes. And we were laughing about it. And, oh, we go to Belk's and we get all kinds of, all this stuff that we thought we were just having a good time. And her sister, who's extraordinarily beautiful and very thin and small, said, well, Byron couldn't do that because they want women who are proportionately big, and all she has is that great big butt. But she said it in such a way that I know she meant for it to be sort of a compliment in sort of a weird way. But obviously I've never forgotten that. And that was 40 years ago, maybe 50. But just because, I got that big butt, because I always have had a big butt. Too bad it wasn't popular when I was a teenager.
Boy, let me tell you, it is now, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
They sell these leggings that have, what do you call it? Pads in the area. And so that you can look like you have a great big butt. And I saw something, it's been months ago, where there's a new kind of those leggings coming out where you can actually inflate or deflate your butt pads. And I thought, well, that'd be handy if you needed to sit down in front of people, I guess. Because what do you see?
There is stuff like that I hear in the world, and I just think to myself, Lord Jesus, come, because we are done here. Yeah, it's just this morning on NPR, which I listen to when I'm waking up, they were having a big old discussion about diapers. Oh, and diapers are so expensive, and it's really hard to get diapers, and blah, 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 diaper. And all these people talking about, and, some people, they just can't afford diapers, and they use like the plastic bags from the grocery store and paper towels and whatever. And I just thought, have we in one generation lost the concept of cloth diapers? Have we just lost it?
Evidently.
Because, yes, the initial outlay for cloth diapers is more expensive than buying the big bag of Pampers. It is. And to use cloth diapers, you need to have access to a washing machine all the time. You can't be saving them.
Whatever.
Yeah. And you can't be saving them up and go to the laundromat once a month like you do. So all that being equal, are you telling me these people can't afford no cloth diapers? Have we lost the concept? And nowhere in that story that I remember hearing did anybody mention cloth diapers. I was shocked, frankly.
They probably forgot they existed.
Yeah.
Like the concept.
And I know they're harder to find than they used to be, but I mean, I looked it up, I don't know, a year ago, I guess, because I was thinking of getting some for some projects I was doing. And you could get them at Walmart.
Well, then they're not that hard to find, you know.
No, maybe you have to special order them. I don't know, but it just made me think. And not once did they mention, well, maybe what we need to do is to go into these poorer communities and go, this is what your grandma used. And yes, it is a little more inconvenient than cloth diapers. I mean, than throwaway diapers. But let me show you how to do it. Let me just show you how to do it. It's not hard. Here's how you fold it. Here's how you pin it. And they got, last I saw, they had kind of fancier pins than just the great big old safety pin with the duck head on it. You remember those?
Yes.
God.
You just made me have a memory I hadn't thought of in years. When I was very small, I had a favorite diaper. It was a polka dotted diaper. It was, and I used to, before I went to bed, I would have that cloth diaper. But I think back to the disposable diaper question, not that I know, and not that I should have an opinion, supposedly, because I don't have kids. But I think a lot of it has to do with time. Now they've just probably forgotten that they ever existed. But I think some people consider that they don't have time. And I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say to that. You can, yeah.
Well, and I don't even have to say it because everybody that listens to me and knows this show and knows me knows what I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
But I will say, when my daughter was little, we alternated between cloth and disposables.
Mm-hmm.
And the disposables, oh, hell yes, it takes less time. You take the diaper off, you wipe the baby's butt, you put a clean diaper on, you throw that one in the garbage. But 30 years on from there, you just build all that stuff in to what you're doing in the day.
Yeah.
And I mean, it may be that daycare is not going to want to deal with your diapers.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to, if you have your child in a daycare, you would have to use disposables for that. And then use cloth diapers at home. I don't know, but I would love to hear from any of our listeners about that. So are they super busy moms, or were they super busy moms who made a decision one way or the other? If they had it to do it again, would they? Because I know when I look back now and think, oh man, I was so busy then. I wasn't busy. I wasn't near as busy as I am right now, even with an infant or a toddler. Because I had built it in. I mean, that's what my day was. I wasn't working when she was really little. So I was at home with her and, wiping her butt and wiping her nose and giving her food and teaching her to read and all that stuff you do with little ones.
Well, that's
it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think some people just are not very present or as present as that for their kids. And I'm just, again, I don't get to have an opinion in theory because I don't have kids, but I do have that opinion based on observation. Some parents, they don't seem like parents. They seem like people who have a kid that they're taking care of, but they just don't seem like they're that involved. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where you've got helicopter moms and so on and so forth. Happy medium is the place to be.
Yes, it's really true. I am so blessed that I did that. And but golly, I just did one. I don't know about these people that have a house full of youngins, but I guess once you've done one, you might as well have more. I don't know. We knew when our daughter was born that we could put one all the way through school. We could afford to do that. We could give her all the attention she needed and all that. But beyond that, we weren't sure. And so we, as I like to say, we stopped with perfection because she is perfect in every way. There. Oh.
That's not.
I don't know when this show started that we're doing because we didn't do the knock knock or any of that. So it's a whole new world. We don't know what we're going to do now. Look out, everybody! Weird Mountain Gals are getting weird, and I mean weird, really, really weird,
really weird. Hey, you know what? We do need to get Dolly in our group because of not just because of what you sent.
Uh-huh.
But because you know what that woman did? She put on a Dallas Cowboy cheerleading outfit with the bare midriff and everything. And she went out there and sang dressed as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Because why? She wanted to have fun. She
And
enjoyed herself.
and because she looked like a damn goddess. That's why
Oh, yeah,
she
that goes
looked
without saying.
amazing.
She does.
Amazing.
She
And
does.
there were all these people going, well, she should learn how to dress her age, blah, 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 blah. All these probably 25-year-olds. She ought to dress her age. And it's like, baby, we know what you look like. We know what Dolly looks like. So I wouldn't even start that if I was you.
You know what? It's just that whole, it's dress your age.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, do you dress your age? Do I dress my?
Well, I have clothes on and I am my age.
Yeah,
So
you're dressing your age.
that's all I can tell you.
That when it brings to mind the word appropriate, which gets on my last nerve sometimes because I heard it a lot. That's just not appropriate.
That's not appropriate. To
Yeah.
who? For what?
Mm,
And yet, I'm not going to be a big old hypocrite about this because I know for myself, there are things that I consider inappropriate. And I'm not going to call somebody out and go, that thing you're doing is absolutely inappropriate. But like, my big bitch about listening to the news and watching the weather person, the girl meteorologist person,
yeah.
and she's always got some cocktail frock on. Like, oh, as soon as I finish telling y'all about this terrible winter storm that's coming in, I'm going to go have cocktails with the mayor.
Yes.
That's how they always look.
Mhm.
And it's like, put on a jacket, cover your arms, look like a professional. And I don't mean a professional prostitute. I mean a professional woman doing a job in the world.
I never understood the need to wear high heels as a meteorologist. They come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you're watching them give the news, and they're strutting around in their high heels. I couldn't even figure out where to find my shoes, much less put them on and walk around in that kind of thing. But at 6 in the morning, and they're going hi and just smiling, and
you know what? None of the men are dressed like that. None of the men have high heels, and none of the men are showing off their arms.
mm-hmm.
They all have on a suit and a tie, or they have on a windbreaker if they're outside or whatever. Yeah. Take note, people. Take note about who has to show. And there's the tyranny. If you're going to show your arms, those arms better not be flabby.
Yeah.
You better be working out every day when you're not in the studio in your inappropriate clothes, giving the weather report. You need to be working out so that your arms look buff. Those arms are so beautiful. It's like, damn it, I just want to know, is it going to be wet today, cold today, hot today? I don't care what your shoes look like. I don't care if your hair is perfect. None of that crap do I care about. Just tell me what the weather is going to be.
I get it.
And get some comfortable shoes on so you don't look so miserable.
Right. Do you remember, it was Hall Fletcher, and his name, he was a teacher, and his name was Mr. Grover, Pat Grover, I think was his name.
Mm-mm.
He was a teacher. He was across the hall from Mr. Nicholson. So you remember Coach Nicholson?
I don't. I didn't go to Hall Fletcher.
I'll never forget. Mr. Grover had very well attended classes because he was funny. People loved going to his class. Now, hindsight being 50-50, I don't know. Hindsight being 2020, I don't know if we got a lot of substance out of that class or not. But I'll never forget the day that he went on a rant about, it started out against his wife, and it ended up against all females who would dare to have a flabby underarm.
What?
Yeah, well, he wasn't mad at his wife. He was just using her as an example in the beginning, and then it changed over to all women. Women should not ever. And girls, if you do this and this and this, you need to do this exercise. And he got so into it, I'm pretty sure he went across the hall and brought Mr. Nicholson in just so Mr. Nicholson would agree with him in front of us. It was like, now, and so 7th grade, my teachers were telling me, do not have flabby underarm. And he actually would hold his arm up and he was like doing that. And the class was cracking up. And because it was like a comedy routine. And that's the way he meant it, but he still said it, And that was just
holy crap. You just threw me into the Wayback Machine. I remember, and it must have been a health class, where they told the girls, when you put on your bra, don't hook it in the front and then slide that hook around to the back. You're supposed to reach around to the back and hook it in the back so you don't get that little jiggly pouch right here.
Oh,
the one between your arm and your torso. If you put on your bra that way, you won't get that jiggly pouch. And that must have been 7th or 8th grade.
You know what? If you don't put on the bra, you don't have to worry about it.
That's how I feel about it.
Me too.
But there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff that when we were coming up, we said, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. What the hell's wrong with you? Like shaving your legs, shaving your underarms, wearing a bra, any of that stuff. We weren't going to be told by society what we could wear and how we should wear any of that other stuff. Well, now, oh my God, you would think if a woman has got hair on her legs, then it's like she's got leprosy. I can't believe we've gone so far backwards in so little amount of time.
You know what I always think of when these subjects come up? I always think of, well, what would the aliens think of us if they landed and they saw a bunch of humans who were trying to cover up their smell, trying to take their hair off, trying to change their appearance, make their shoulders broader or their butt stick out by wearing heels or whatever. They would think that this was some sort of animalistic mating rituals that we went through. Because then, most or a lot of women, I imagine, after they're married and start having kids, they start saying, no, that's not important anymore. I'm not going to, I could be wrong about that, I'm sure. And it's not, for anybody listening, that's not the equivalent of letting yourself go. That's the equivalent of taking care of yourself and not worrying about whether or not it's appropriate.
Good for you, circling right back around to that.
See, my mind is sharp today. Woohoo!
I know. Well, what our listeners don't know is that before we started recording the podcast, we had to check in because we haven't talked to each other in a couple of weeks because of everything going on. And both of us have got very ill friends. We have, we've been dealing with some pretty challenging stuff. So if we feel like we're venting a little bit today, it's because we are.
Yeah. And what better place to do it than in public in a recording?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is America. You do it on Zoom, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, we probably need to say a word or two about Thanksgiving. So I'm going to start by asking you, how was Thanksgiving with your family?
It was chaotic and wonderful, and every second of it, I just watched them as much as I could, because I don't know when I'm ever going to get to see them all in the same room again.
Yeah.
Happens, excuse me, but things happen, and you never know if you're going to get to see somebody again. And maybe these situations that we've been in are making us aware of it even more than we usually are. That's what I'm thinking. But it was great. It was great. And my little nephew that I talk about all the time? My little nephew.
Yes, your little nephew, Kyle.
Do you know he's almost 28? Like, what? He will forever be 4 years old to me. And the cutest kid on the planet.
He's still pretty cute, though. He's still pretty cute.
And my other nephew is so smart, and he's also pretty cute. But he's huge. He's like 6 foot something. And he's also not my little nephew, and I need to get that out of my brain. He's
Oh,
25.
well, my little nephew, and I have several little nephews, but the little nephew that I spent time with at Thanksgiving is 39 years old.
Oh,
He has a master's degree from Georgia Tech,
wow.
and I mean, he's an extraordinary man that does extraordinary things, but he will always be 10 years older than me.
I know. I mean, I know. I do.
So funny.
Well,
Oh, golly.
I was able this year, I felt well enough to cook and help mom.
That's wonderful.
I was able to cook. So I cooked stuffing. I cooked 5 pumpkin pies. I cooked, what else? Oh, I did all those deviled eggs I told you I was going to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And we still cleaned it out, and there was hardly anything left over. Seriously.
Well, yeah, y'all got good appetites.
We do. And I always like to take plates around afterwards to my friends. So I took
Yeah.
a plate to a friend of mine that I've known, but he's shy. He doesn't come out. He doesn't want to see people. He's done with the world, and he had no Thanksgiving plans. He called me back and he said that it was the best stuffing. He said I can't remember, but it was a great compliment, and he was comparing it to his grandma's stuffing.
Ooh.
And he said that's right, or his mama's stuffing. Said he hadn't tasted that taste since then. And I said, well, then I said his name. And I told him, I said, it's not hard to make. And I told him how to make it. And he was like, that's easy for you to say. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to recreate that meal sometime in the next few weeks. Maybe not with turkey, but I'm going to make something with stuffing and I'll probably make some eggs again and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he said, well, would you make me a plate? And I said, absolutely. I'll make you. Well, when he said a plate, he meant his own pan of it. So I said, yeah.
I love that you do that. That is just the kindest thing.
Well, gosh, I mean, to me, that's the way you should treat people all the time, and you do.
And I agree with you.
Yeah. And it was no skin off my teeth, as they say. We had enough left over. I just brought some extra plates and stuff. But it was also kind of bittersweet this year because I have lost so many people in the last 5 years. I know you have too.
Yeah.
A lot of them that I used to take food to, they're just not here anymore to eat. So it was kind of bittersweet. But it was still totally good.
Oh, good. That is good. Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know, it's been a couple weeks ago. I was making a fairly big meal, and when my friend Brenda, who died earlier this year, when she was I think it was her third bout with cancer, I asked her what she liked to eat so I could bring her food, and she said, it just varies day to day, but if you ever have a meal where you're making a lot and you have a lot of leftovers, just let me know what you got and I'll let you know if I want it. And we worked on that for about 3 or 4 months. If I just scraped together a salad and an omelet, I didn't contact her. But if if I roasted a chicken or something like that, I go, so, hey, Brenda, do you like this, 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 this? And she'd say, bring me this, this, and this, but don't bring me that. I don't like that. And so I would go out there with a flotilla of little plastic containers full of stuff.
Yeah, I do. That's why I keep, tubs of, if something in the grocery store comes in a tub, and has a lid, I usually will keep it and take it to somebody.
Yep. Me too. Me too. And then a couple times a year, I'll go through the big pile of that stuff and get rid of a bunch of it because I know more will be coming in.
Same.
Yeah, that's funny. And it used to be in this neighborhood, there were a lot of elders. So there was a Miss Pearl who lived the house right down here. And there's two other little elderly women, and I would take them stuff. But now, guess who's the elderly woman in the community? It's me.
You made it. Yay!
I made it. That's funny.
It is. But how about your Thanksgiving? Did you get to see everything you wanted?
It was lovely. Going down there, we went south of Atlanta to my sister-in-law's house, and it was the whole day, all the days. We were there 4 days, I guess. Just wonderful. It's good to be with them. My sister-in-law she's a very good friend of mine, and we joke together and we cook together. So since my mother-in-law died, she lets me be in the kitchen because my mother-in-law never wanted me to be in the kitchen because she would take care of all that. She didn't need me to do that. So now I get to do some kitchen stuff. So that was good. The ride down there was hard because it rained the whole way.
I remember.
Yeah, and we go out. I was grateful for the rain, very grateful. We didn't get enough of it here, but I was grateful that there was rain. We go out 40 west and then take 23 down through Dillard and Raven Gap and all that. And then we go around Atlanta as best we can. Well, this time we went around on the east side instead of the west side, and it took longer than it needed to. Plus, it was raining. I don't know when I've driven through rain as hard as some of that was. And, it took a 4.5 hour trip, 5 hour trip took 7 hours. So, yeah, my butt was tired.
I guess so.
But that was the hardest part of the whole thing, was just getting down there. And then coming home, the weather was perfect. We came home on Saturday. Weather was perfect. Traffic was not bad at all. We dodged around Midtown and headed back up 23, and it was all just lovely. Got home before dark.
That's definitely the best way to go, is 23, as far as I'm concerned. Even though it takes a little bit longer, the lack of it's so much less stressful. So 23.
It is, and it actually is, according to the GPS, it's 1 minute less time.
Well, okay.
And then you don't have to go down White Horse Road in Greenville, which is so ugly.
It is.
And that was a wonderful commercial district. I bet you could buy anything you wanted to on White Horse Road, but dang, ugly. Ugly.
It is. Every time I hear White Horse Road, I always think of the radio. I used to listen to this radio station that was always talking about White Horse Road, and they were always talking about some strip club or something just off White Horse Road.
I swear, I think White Horse Road has probably got anything you could ever want, including the big clock and the original big clock and the new big clock and all the big clock restaurants. Been to a big clock? Here's another one.
Have you ever eaten at the clock?
I have not. I don't think I've ever stopped on White Horse Road, not even for gas. Man, maybe once or twice for gas before I hit 85 and headed south.
I think, and I may be wrong about this, but I think there used to be a drive-in in Brevard called The Clock. I
think you are right. I hadn't thought of that in years, but yes, I think you are right.
Well, let me ask you a question. Because you've been going to this area for Thanksgiving for many years now, right?
Oh, many years, yeah.
Does the drive there put you in a holiday mood? Or when you walk in the door, what is it that does the holiday mood?
Oh, no, I don't get into a holiday mood till after Thanksgiving. I'm always glad to be going down there. I was glad this year because I had some rest beforehand, so I didn't get there and was just falling asleep the whole time. So that was good. But yeah, I don't really get into that kind of mistletoe, holly, evergreen thing until after December the 1st. I don't know why.
Well, that's okay.
And this year it's going to be December the 4th because right now I'm doing final edits on the first round of edits for Feral Church. So I'm going to be tied to my computer until it goes in on Monday. And then after that, it's going to be all pine trees and pretty smells and figuring out where I can get some holly with berries on it, all that stuff.
We can help you with that, the holly part.
Yeah.
I want some help with the mistletoe part.
Man, there is mistletoe coming up from Georgia. There's mistletoe on every tree. There's trees, just tons of mistletoe. If you with a good ladder, you could get the mistletoe. I just keep thinking, I ought to come down here one year, probably first weekend in December, and just load the car up with mistletoe.
Yeah.
And come here and sell it off. Be a good fundraiser.
Well, is it low enough to grab like that, or do you have to shoot it down?
Some of it is low enough to grab. It's crazy.
That's this has turned out to be a masked year. A lot of masks this year.
Molly, you're exactly right.
That. So I don't have that feeling in my bones one way or another about the upcoming weather, but the signs are all there that we're going to have something that's going to be pretty wicked, and a lot of it, whether it's
Yep.
rain or cold temperatures or what, I don't know. But we've had 2 rounds now. It's not quite December 1st yet, not quite, but we've already had 2 rounds of multi days where we were below freezing.
Yes.
And
And that's unusual for us in November.
it is. So it got down to 19. Was it last night? And then the night before, no, it was
Night before.
And last night it was 21.
Yeah.
And that's really low for us here. So, and my mother's backyard is full of masks, as full as I've ever seen it. So who knows?
I need to send my bears down there to your mama because they've eaten everything up here.
Please don't send your bears. She worries about bears.
Well, she must not have them if she's got all that mask.
Well, she
So that's
doesn't. She's got a fenced in backyard, but so that might be part of it. And she doesn't want people, she's like me, she doesn't want people blowing the leaves everywhere and all of that stuff. Because she says, why bother? It's not gonna hurt anything to let the leaves be there. She likes the way they look. And she's smart.
She is smart, but there's plenty of people that will give you a hard time if you don't rake your yard. Do you need some help raking your yard? I do not, because I ain't raking it. So what puts you in the holiday spirit? What does it? Or do you get in a holiday spirit?
Oh, I'm terrible. When I'm in the holiday spirit, I'm obnoxious about it because I love the holidays. I mean, love them. But they are, the older I get, they have their hard parts too. And so now it feels like they're equally wonderful and bittersweet at the same time. Doesn't mean I don't want them. The thing that puts me in the holiday spirit is the walking in the door, whether it's me walking in and smelling everything and hearing everybody say hello, or whether it's somebody else walking in the door and we're saying hello to them. I guess that would be it. And my holidays always have people in them. It's the one time of the year I think that I like people.
Well, but it's just certain people.
Yeah, just certain ones. That's right. No, I think that's
Oh,
what
I
it is.
love that. So, hello, how are you? That puts you in, huh?
Yeah,
I love that.
that whole walking in the door and your arms might be full of whatever thing you're bringing. And the same. And I really like watching somebody walk in the door from out of town that people haven't seen for a while. Because that's when I look at everybody's face and I watch them. And that's the thing I like. I remember my grandma would do the same thing. I didn't know it at the time. I was a kid. I didn't pay any attention to it. But my memory, I remember her standing in a doorway that was kind of catty corner to this other doorway. And it was where the kitchen was. And so she had been in the kitchen and somebody would open the door and come in and she'd walk out and watch them come in and talk to them and tell them, sit down, come sit down. Let me get this for you. I remember that. But it's not a requirement, but it's always makes it nice for me.
That's a beautiful memory. Sit down. Come on in, sit down.
Yeah.
My dad used to say, take a load off. Come on in, take a load off.
My grandpa he had traded somebody for some wood, and he built a beautiful dining room table out of cherry wood.
Oh,
And it was one of those tables that folded down like that, and it made a
Uh-huh.
regular, and then you could fold it out, and it had leaf, what they call a leaf in it.
Yeah.
You could put those in, and so we'd make that table really big and long as it would get. And he made that table just for family holidays because they didn't have a
Uh,
dining room, and it wasn't the room we had wasn't all that big. And we'd fill it up with that one table and people. And my grandma just hauling food to the table as fast as she could. So,
it sounds like Norman Rockwell.
uh, yeah, I
All,
often,
all the all the food piled up in the middle of the table.
we all had our special things that we loved, or the special holiday recipes. The things we've talked about for the cookbook, a lot of those were those kind of recipes. Like
Mm-hmm.
my great aunt would make, we call it soda bread, she'd call it sody bread,
Yeah.
and the little tiny little rolls, and they were just perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
and they smelled wonderful, and everybody had their holiday thing that they specialized in. What do you have?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the thing that you specialize in?
Oh, at Thanksgiving time, it's cranberry sauce.
Ooh.
I make homemade cranberry sauce, and I put oranges in it and
Mm.
whiskey and stuff like that. And English walnuts.
Oh, wow.
But somebody was telling me about making it, and they also put in uh, pineapple, and that sounded good to me. I think I'm gonna try that. But almost none of the family down in Georgia eat that. I take it from me and my one niece who eats it. And
I
then one of the great nieces has decided she likes it too. So we'll see.
I'd love to see that recipe, and I'm a little embarrassed, but I don't know that I've ever had homemade cranberry sauce. I think it's
Well, I
always
think
been a canned thing.
most people love canned cranberry sauce. They just love it. I mean, it's tart and sweet. It's pretty color. It tastes good. I mean, what's not to love about it? But it's so easy to make the from scratch. You just clean the cranberries, you throw them in a pan with a cup of water, or I use a half a cup of water and a half cup of orange juice if I have it, and then about a half cup of sugar, plain old sugar, and I zest up an orange and chop that up, so that's all in there, and then you boil it for about 3 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah, till it starts to get a little bit thick, and then you put it in the pan.
Does it thicken up
Oh,
naturally? You don't have to put any.
huh. No, I mean it's just like making jelly because you put the sugar in there, and it gels it all up. Yeah, and I mean it doesn't get as firm as like jelly does, but yeah. So it's not hard to do. Cranberries though are expensive, except I have discovered Aldi this time of year has a bag of cranberries for 99 cents.
Ooh.
So I know I said that, and everybody's going to clean out the Aldi. And I always, because they keep real good in the freezer. Right now, I have 5 packages of cranberries in my freezer. And the next time I go to Aldi, I'm probably going to pick up 2 or 3 more because we love it all year long.
It
And
sounds
it's easy to mix, so we can have it all year long.
well. It sounds wonderful. I'm going to try
Yeah,
it. Now,
it's
I
yummy.
won't do the whiskey part. I don't think I have any whiskey. Even if I did, I probably wouldn't do it. But
It's
would
just
that
for
be okay?
the flavor. It's just for the flavor because once you do that much boiling, it boils the alcohol off.
How much whiskey then?
Maybe 3 tablespoons, a splash of whiskey.
I might have to come to your house and
Sometimes,
borrow. May I have a splash
can
of
I borrow a splash of whiskey, please? Um, and sometimes I use when I'm baking, which I'll be doing a lot of this coming month. Um, I have this orange liqueur,
Mhm.
and I use that in it. And the alcohol again burns off, but it gives them even more orange flavor with the orange zest and the orange juice.
That sounds
Yeah,
really good. Do you
it's
have a
pretty
favorite
tasty.
food that you
Do I have a favorite food?
for the Thanksgiving meal?
Oh, no, not really.
Mm-mm.
I love roasted turkey.
Me too.
I love it. But
Mhm.
my sister-in-law doesn't roast turkey. She air fries it or what. It, she experiments all the times with different ways to do it. I like it in the oven where it gets really crisp on the outside. But that's not what she chooses to do. And she has a lot of other stuff that goes in the oven, so she probably wouldn't have time to do it to get everything done.
Yeah.
If she also roasted her turkey, but I like roasted meats, like I like roast chicken, roast turkey. I'm thinking about getting either a goose or a duck for Christmas dinner because I'll be up at my daughter's for that, and we'll have a nice roasted meal. And
Yeah.
all those roasted vegetables, like potatoes and onions and carrots and Brussels sprouts, all that. I love a big pan of roasted vegetables.
I love Brussels sprouts.
Yeah,
My
me
cat
too.
has found cat dog his new favorite food. He moved Brussels sprouts into the number 2 spot in favor of celery, raw celery. He loves some celery. He foundered on that celery. I had the tops of the celery stalks have the leaves and everything. And I had a lot of celery and I didn't need all those. And so I put the leaves in a bowl and then I put some of the tops and stuff that I wasn't using in that bowl. Could not keep him out of it. He's just the funniest cat. But
He is such a weirdo.
he is. Here's a bowl of turkey, and here's some celery, and it's raw. Which do you want? Get that turkey away from me. He wants that celery. So, I guess I told you, Mom said, well, he's from Darfur, and that she
Right.
and she said, so in addition to not speaking English, there are probably vegetarians out there.
Gosh, Darfur. What a sad place.
Yeah. So that I thought was my funny thing this year was because there's always one funny thing that happens every holiday, isn't there?
Yes, yes. And I'm grateful that I spend holidays now with people who are not big drinkers. I mean, they might have a glass of wine with dinner or something like that, but my whole childhood growing up, any holiday was as an excuse to drink a lot, to drink to excess. And after that, it was never fun for anybody that wasn't drinking to excess.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't fun for the people who were. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
It doesn't sound like it would be.
No, no. So that makes holidays a lot simpler and safer than they used to be too. That helps.
Yeah. Well,
Golly.
none of that at my house. I think that in Robbinsville when I was a kid, I think that some of the men would sneak out back and have a beer. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I'm pretty sure that happened. But other than
A beer, one beer.
I don't probably a beer. I don't know. But they go out back. For all I know, it was a doobie or something. But just, and I know that they would go out back for something, and they'd come back, and 15, 20 minutes later. And so it couldn't have been all the kids running around making noise that bothered them. No, it wasn't that. Anyway.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, I've had a couple of holidays now where I was alone, didn't have a bunch of family and stuff.
That's right.
Those were also okay, to tell you the truth, because it gave me time and see things cycle, things always cycle. That's the way it is. So if I'm alone this holiday, then maybe next time I won't be. That's the way I feel about it. But the times that I have been alone, it really made me appreciate the holiday. That's when you can kind of think about it and all of that stuff. That's a luxury in a way, to have time to think about stuff like that. So I don't dread the holidays because of that. I miss people, but I don't dread the holidays. This is a dying time. Everybody everybody in my family, they all go this time of year, so that makes it kind of hard as well sometimes.
It does, and yet I'm at the age now, and you are about to be that age where people are just dying around you all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And you hear about people so much younger than you are dying, and then you hear about people much older than you are dying, and you come to a realization of what mortality begins to look like. I mean, we have a sort of intellectual understanding that people are born and then people die, but when you are up against it all the time, and it's so and so, like when I got the phone call this morning that my friend had died, my first thought was not, oh my God, no, I can't believe it. My first thought was, well, he was almost 90 years old. And the last time I'd seen him, which was a couple of weeks ago, um, he he was saying he didn't feel well and he didn't look well and he didn't sound quite right. And at that point, I thought to myself, yeah, that he is on his final pathway.
Mm-hmm.
So that when I heard the news, my first thought was, of course, that it was like confirmation rather than, oh my God, no, not that dear sweet person. Oh, it was like, yeah, no, it seems like it was time probably, and he got to go in the way he wanted to go. He wasn't hooked up to machines in a hospital or any of that stuff.
That's as much as you can ask for nowadays.
Yeah.
It's my family, they don't want to die in a hospital if they can help it.
No, mine neither.
And I know my one of my other good friends had her mother died last week. And I just think my dad died first about 12 days before Christmas.
Oh,
And then of course my grandfather, my grandma, everybody dies in December or late November or early January in my family. Isn't that weird?
it is, but must add a whole different layer to the holidays.
It does.
Yeah.
I remember.
Was your dad pretty young when he died?
Yeah, he was. He did not make 70. He was in his 60s when he died. And he fought a good fight, I'll tell you that. And he wouldn't have lasted as long as he did, except my mother was damn determined that she was going to make sure, and he was well taken care of, and he died right where he wanted to, which was in the living room. Truth, that's the truth. And we had a few minutes, we got to say goodbye privately, because you don't have to call the ambulance right then. You don't.
No, you don't.
And so we got to sit with him for a while and talk and stuff like that for a while. And I think that's good.
Me too.
That's
a thing we need to recapture as a culture.
It was closure. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It was closure. Yeah. And we were tired. We were helping in shifts because both of my brothers were there as well. And so it took my mom was kind of on duty all the time, if you will. But then there would be another kid there with her at all times. And I remember that I left the house. I was going to go back to Hooterville and lay down and sleep. And I got called before I could get there. And they said he was waiting because he didn't want you to have to see it. That's what they told me. You see.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got to go hug his neck and tell him some things in private that I always wanted to say and just hadn't. So that felt good.
Yeah.
And forever. My dad and I we're on different terms now because of that. And
that's good. That's very good.
Well, I don't know why, but I'm very reluctant. I'm weird about being overly effusive. My friend described me and my family as being they're very stoic, even though I don't think of myself as stoic. But yeah, that was the time when I just said, Dad, I just love you so much, and just all this other stuff. And man, since then, we feel closer than ever. No joke. I feel
No.
closer than ever to my dad. And that was part of the reason why we're in a good place together. And, Dad has come to me once in a dream, and he kept me from a bad situation. I told you about it.
Yep, I remember that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know he's still around. That's why I asked you that question earlier before we were recording, about
Mhm.
if you are pagan, do you still see and connect with your dead family, your family's passed on? And you had the perfect and exactly correct answer, which was, well, whether they're pagan or not, this is how they are. I
Whether they're,
totally
yeah,
agree.
spiritually connected or not,
Yeah,
whether they confirm that or not.
yeah. But
Yeah, I think, our ancestors are important for a
mhm.
lot of reasons. I mean, obviously we wouldn't be here without our ancestors. But, but yeah, having those other beings around you, it can be, even if it's just psychosomatic, even if it's just a little glitch in your brain that makes you think that your dad came, or some other beloved ancestor came to you, whether that's a dream or a trick of your imagination, doesn't really matter if it brings you comfort. And if the advice they give, like the advice your father gave you, saves you from misery,
Yeah, uh,
whether that's your subconscious saying, for the love of God, do not do this,
yeah,
or it is your dad saying, I want you to think twice before you do this thing you're about to do, you crazy kid.
yeah. Don't go there is basically.
Yeah.
And like I said, they never talk when they're really gone, and I'm meeting them in my dream. They don't blink and they never speak. But I always hear something, hear the
Yeah.
voice of something. And so it's interesting how that works. It is. And I wish that more families had the resources, because the actual manual labor part was hard. And most people, they don't have the resources. They don't know what to do if someone's sick and dying. They don't have the money to do some of the things that they need to, they to bring in a nurse or whatever. So they send them on to a hospital or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
hard on those people. And I'm not saying, if that's your case and your loved one's in the hospital and they're dying or in hospice, it's okay. That is
Yeah. No judgment. Oh my God, no judgment.
It's just that for me personally, my family, they all want to die at home, and I'm
Yeah.
glad.
And I tell people all the time with hospice that if they're reluctant about it, if they can handle having their loved one at home and there's a big enough family, because that's part of it, is that
Yes,
it used to be if a family had, 8 or 10 young ones and they didn't move very far away, that you could take it in shifts and you really could help out and still work a job and have your own family and take care of an elder. But that's just not true anymore. Families are smaller. Families are separated by thousands, sometimes thousands of miles. And so it really is so much harder. But the folks at hospice, they not only take care of your beloved one, but they take care of the whole family. So that instead of you being the one who is wiping your mom's behind and doing all that intimate care that your mother is embarrassed, no matter how you feel about doing it, your mother is probably embarrassed that you are having to do that for
right.
her or your father or whatever. So, in addition to them taking care of that stuff, you can just be with the person that you love
Yeah,
in those final days, weeks, months, and just be with them
yeah,
and not have to worry about, is that thing that's happening right now, is that a sign that they're about to die? Or is that just another transitional thing? Or what? Because there are people there who know the answers to that.
yeah.
So, it really is hospice is a beautiful thing. Beautiful.
Mhm. So that, don't you think though that once you get a little age on you anyway, that it's kind of impossible to separate the holiday good stuff from the holiday death and dying? It's all the same, it's all in the same kind of bailiwick, if you will.
It is, and you had said something earlier. The word I think that's perfect is bittersweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's so much about the holidays that's wonderful. And then you remember the people who aren't there,
Mhm.
whether they are people who have moved far away and they can't come back, or they're people who've died, which I guess is a kind of way of moving far away, not coming back.
Yeah.
Or if they're members of your family, and this is true all across the world, but it is especially true in Appalachia, that there are people that are estranged from the family for
Mm.
whatever reasons who are not there.
Yep.
And it could be that the family has thrown them out, or it could be that they've
They just
removed
left.
themselves
Yeah.
from a family situation that feels toxic.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's all of that roiling around. But in in old times, and I'm not going to define what old times is, I'm just going to say that this was the time of ghosts. It wasn't just at Halloween, but Halloween was sort of the doorway opening. And that's why when we read something like Dickens' A Christmas Carol, that seems right that there would be ghosts abroad at Christmas because it's the time of year when ghosts are abroad. Um,
Definitely. Definitely. Speaking of, I had no idea, and this is not really on the topic, but sort of is. I had no idea that there were so many video or movie versions of Christmas Carol.
there's a
Gotta
lot
be
of them,
plenty.
aren't there?
There's I can't believe all of them. I saw a cartoon version. What?
There is a lot of them.
Yeah. Do you
I
have a
I
favorite?
hope I mean I think I've seen them all. What we were having the discussion somewhere at some time about your favorite version of Christmas Carol and or your favorite Christmas movie. That's what it was. And Joe's favorite is Scrooge, which has a friend of ours in it
Oh,
who has now died, but he's in that movie and it's a big musical about Scrooge. Um, but my favorite Christmas thing is Child's Christmas in Wales.
yeah, you
Yeah, I
brought.
love that. And I'm going to be reading that on Facebook once we get to December. I didn't want to start it before then.
I cannot wait.
It'll
I
be
love
fun. I
love
just love
music.
that. His writing has had such a profound influence on me.
Hmm. Nice, nice, nice.
It said Zoom meeting is muted. And I thought, oh no, what's Alicia about to say? Something shocking? Something nasty? No, it's just a phone call coming in.
It must have so what you're saying is it knew that that sound was a phone call and it muted you?
Yeah, it said at the bottom of the screen, Zoom meeting muted. And then at the top of the screen was the person calling.
Interesting. That's
And
interesting.
then I just hit the red button on the calling because I ain't going to talk to you right now, buddy. I got something else to do right now.
As it. Well, I guess the holidays are also the time when I get tempted to overeat. How about you?
Girl, I was at the doctor 2 days ago for my annual physical and I have lost 5 pounds. And then I was sick as a dog, as you know, yesterday because I had my shingles vaccine, part two. And I got on the scales this morning and I'd lost another 5 pounds yesterday. Now, that is just water or a lack of water or whatever else. So that ain't nothing, but I had lost 5 pounds.
Wow.
So I am tempted to overeat. I need to get my weight back on. I'm getting too skinny. I only weigh 159 pounds right now. I got to get on it. I know I had to think about it. 159 pounds.
Wow.
That 5 pounds that was going to come right back on. Don't worry about that.
Is there a certain Christmas or holiday food that you cannot resist
Um,
that you should
yeah,
resist?
there's many of them, and they all are full of sugar.
Mm.
My one of my favorite things in the world, and has been since I was a tiny child, is chocolate covered cherries. I love them so much. And I now, I'm real careful about carbs and the amount of sugar that I eat. but I will be having chocolate covered cherries. And I make cake all through the holidays. I mostly give them away, but I make my cousins. It's called a cold oven pound cake because you put it in when the oven's cold and then turn the oven on. Um, Except I call it the old coven pound cake. So I switch the words around. And it's the best pound cake you will ever eat. And it's full of all the things you should not be eating. And I've got a 12th night cake that also belonged to my cousin that I make. And I make my mother's prune cake.
Oh, you told me that one time.
Yeah, we talked about that before. So I'll be making a lot of cakes. I'll make some fudge. I just am gonna make a whole and this year I didn't do any canning. So I normally give my neighbors some jam or jelly or something. I didn't do any of that this year. So I'm gonna be baking little cakes for them too. So yeah, how about you? What's irresistible to you?
Deviled eggs if they're good.
Yeah, but those aren't so bad for you.
Well, okay, the bads. I love pound cake.
Yeah.
But excuse me, I love pumpkin pie the most.
Oh, me too. And I took that with me to for say for Valentine's Day. Oh my God. For Thanksgiving, I took pumpkin pie because I love pumpkin pie and it's not a family tradition down there. So I took pumpkin pie and I knew I would have a little slice of it. Probably Joe would have a little slice of it. I bring the rest of it home. Well, my great niece decided, pumpkin pie, I've never had this. This is great. Can I have more pumpkin pie? So I ended up not bringing the rest of the pumpkin pie home. It stayed there for her to eat because she liked it so much.
No.
But I love pumpkin pie. And an old friend of mine gave me a candy roaster earlier this month, or maybe it was even in October. So I'm going to cut that up, and because candy roaster makes a really good pie too. It tastes like a pumpkin pie,
I guess so. I've never, not that I know I've had one.
Well, when I make one, you have to come over and have a cup of coffee and a piece of pumpkin pie.
Right.
Candy roaster pie.
Candy roaster pie. Yes,
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, all that stuff. And I just try to limit myself. The doctor, when you go to the doctor at my age, the first thing you have the intake woman, and she asks you things. Have you fallen in the last year? Do you have to hold on to furniture when you move around your house? She asked me the year. She asked me if I knew what day it was. She had me count backwards from 20. Then she had me name the months of the year going backwards from December. I mean, it was just all this stuff. And I guess, it's good to have a baseline to say when she was 67 years old, she could do all of this, no problem. And now she is 68 years old. And maybe there's so that they can judge cognitively what's going on with me. I don't know. But it just felt silly. She said, "What year is it?" And I went, "Year?" She said, "Yes." "What year is it?" And I said, "It's 2023." And she said, "Good."
Sounds like
so I guess, I passed the cognitive test this time, but next year, who knows?
Well, that sounds like the kind of thing that you could mess with them, if you wanted to. But my doctors asked me, do you have someone who loves and cares for you? Do you have a spiritual practice that affects your instructions for death? And
that's a good question.
Yep. They asked those, and do you feel lonely or depressed? And they've started asking that about 3 years ago to everybody who came in the door there at the doctor's office. And I watched people's expressions, when they're being asked these questions for the first time. And I know mine was probably like, what? Why are you asking that? Yes.
Yeah. She asked me, have you felt lonely, depressed? Well, and have you suffered from depression, or have you been depressed? So I can't remember exactly how she worded it. I said, do you listen to the news at all? And she laughed and she said, "I don't actually. I stopped listening to that about 2 years ago. I just figure if something big happens, I will know." but maybe I don't even need to know. And I went, well, that might actually be a good idea. But as far as am I depressed, not in the way you are meaning. No, I am not.
They're screening for our emotional state. And that makes me
Yes.
happy that they are even thinking about it in allopathic medicine.
Yes, I am happy about that, and yet also unnerved by it. I don't necessarily want them to know everything there is to know about me.
I can see that. Nobody
But I
knows.
mean, I really like my doctor a lot, and I trust the practice. So, I mean, that makes it a little bit easier.
You know what that makes you is really lucky.
I feel very lucky, and I had the big stressor of I took out my insurance card because it's a new year for insurance, and I looked at it. They had a totally different primary care physician listed on it.
Wow.
So I called them up and I said, "You have the wrong," and they said, "Oh no, because the practice that you were with, you're not with that practice anymore. It's no longer in our network." And I thought, "Oh my God." So I had an appointment like 45 minutes later. So I just went on over to the doctor's office, and they were so funny. I said, "It says you're not in network anymore." And a woman in the office in the back stood up from her desk and came forward, and she said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of this." And grabbed me, took me into another little office where they have someone hired to just say, "Yes, your insurance is fine. Don't worry, it's fine." And it's because the practice as it was dissolved and became another practice. It was kind of like what happened with you with your medication when you went to get it and they said, "Oh no, that's not covered anymore," or whatever it was. And it's because your doctor had given you a new script and they hadn't caught up with it yet. Yeah. So it was just it was so stressful that when I went in for the intake part, I said, "Take my blood pressure right now. I want to know what the past 40 minutes has done to my blood pressure."
And what
But it
had
was
it done?
fine. It was fine. The doctor laughed. He said, "Your blood pressure was perfect." But of course, I am on blood pressure medication, so that's good.
That's very good. Well,
Oh my God, I came racing in there with my hair on fire because they had assigned me to a practice in Shelby. So I would have had to drive to Shelby, North Carolina to go to the doctor.
no, I don't get that.
Insurance sucks. When it works, that's wonderful. But when it doesn't work, difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to. I have so many friends who, and I shouldn't say this. I was going to say especially the guys, but I could be wrong about that. I just have a lot of friends who are guys, but I have so many friends who they don't ask questions. They don't attempt to do anything except what their insurance tells them they can, and they're really passive about it. And so they end up getting not the care that they wanted, because they're not or need, yeah. Whereas I self-refer, I do all that stuff. I'm just like that doctor that I found in Statesville. I researched and I found that doctor, and I went to my regular doctor, and I said, "I need a referral for this guy." You see, and you can do stuff like that. You can,
yeah, of course.
But the American healthcare system is both really super good and it really sucks, and it mostly really sucks
simultaneously.
Yeah. I mean,
well, I remember my dad, and my dad has been dead now for almost 30 years. I remember taking him to the doctor, and he had been down in the back for weeks. So he goes to the doctor, he comes out, and he's putting on his coat. And I said, "Well, what did he say about your back?" And he said he didn't mention it. I said, you didn't tell him your back hurts?" And he said, "No, I figured if it was something that he saw, he would tell me."
Oh my God.
I was like, "Dad." So I made him take his coat off. I said, "He needs 5 more minutes with the doctor." And it was a pretty, well, it was 30 years ago when medical practices were medical practices.
Yeah.
And so I just knocked on the door and I said, "Doctor, can he have 5 more minutes with you?" And he said, "Yeah, of course." And he just went in, and then the doctor explained that he had strained something or pulled something. It was not anything serious, and gave him some exercises to do, which of course he never did.
Huh.
And some, pain relievers, muscle relaxants, I think. But he was going to go out and just live with it for a little bit longer because the doctor didn't say anything. Well, the doctor's not a damn mind reader. Sorry.
No.
You got to let them know what's going on.
Especially not nowadays, for sure.
No.
You go into my doctor's office and it's only the one doctor. And there's 6 offices in a row there down this little hallway. And then on the other side of the hallway would be his office and a bathroom and a little phlebotomy lab and all of that. But he sees 6 patients at one time, all day long. And he's supposed to see, I think somebody told me 30 every hour.
Oh my God. How can he do that? That's like 2 minutes a person.
Well, yeah, that's what it is like mostly.
I mean, and I get that there's the intake person. I mean, it used to be the nurse, and now nurses are way too valuable for that. But I get that there's somebody who asks you what year it is and takes your blood pressure and, does all that really basic stuff. I get that. That shouldn't be the doctor. The
Right.
doctor's time is much more valuable than just, collecting data. But I'm lucky. He's a really good doctor, and he spends good time with me.
You are lucky. You are really lucky.
Yep.
So we did what old people do. We talked about dead relatives, days
Food.
gone by, and
Going to the doctor. Our
What
ailments.
happened?
Have I mentioned my ailments to you?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the weather now.
Yeah.
My gosh, it's too dry. I wish it would rain.
Does it make your bursitis act up when it's this cold?
That was the other question. I'm going to go back to the doctor one more time. She said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain are you in right now? And I just sat there and I kind of did, it was like I did a biometric thing of the whole, and I went, well, I think I'm probably at a 0. Nothing appears to be hurting while I'm sitting here. And she said, really? Nothing hurts at all? And I said, well, if I stand up, my feet are going to hurt because they always hurt. But yeah, no, I'm good. And she said, well, that's pretty good to be your age and not have any chronic pain. I was like, well, what can I say? I'm old, but I can count backwards from December to January.
That's right.
God,
You're going to see it out and about. You'd think
oh God. And I've done one doctor after another. The past 3 weeks, I went to the dentist for cleaning. I got my new eyeglasses. I've been to have my physical. And it's because I was on the road all year, so I couldn't schedule any of that. So it's like every week. And next week I go to the dermatologist. And then I'm going to be off for a few weeks. How nice.
That is nice.
It is nice. I don't know. I think I'm lucky because I've got insurance, because I've got medical practices that I trust and that I'm fond of. I'm telling you, I've been going to this dentist since it was his daddy's practice.
Oh, wow.
So I've been going a long, long time. And I think they may be faking it, but they genuinely care about me. And that's important to feel like when they're cleaning your teeth, they're like, well, this one, I don't know, might be a little loose. But, and my dentist said to me, your gums look good. And I went, what? And he said, your gums look good. I said, no one has ever said that to me.
Yeah, or me.
I said, well, let me say it one more time. Your gums look good.
That's awesome. Well, they're a big help, the doctors nowadays.
They are. They're taking care of me as best they can and as best I will allow them. So what are you going to do for fun this week?
For fun this week?
Yeah, for fun.
Well, the week is almost over, isn't it?
No, next week. I mean, I'm thinking they're going to hear this on Sunday night. Next week. What you going to do that's fun? First week in December.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm probably going to take my buddy Gary out somewhere. I don't know. I'm a semi recluse right now, so I'm not really going out to a lot of restaurants. But it's his birthday, and our tradition for the last 40 years has been to take each other to Red Lobster for our birthday.
Oh, how nice. That's a good tradition.
Yeah. Well, that man can eat some cheddar biscuits. And we
Ah,
we discovered them together at one of our, when they first started doing cheddar biscuits. And I'm like one of the only ways he gets to go that far, to Red Lobster to get those cheddar biscuits. We tried the ones that they have in the store that you can make that are like the Red Lobster cheddar biscuits. They do not
uh-huh.
taste like the ones at the restaurant. So I think that that'll be for fun if I can figure out a way to do it at a time when they're not going to be busy, because
Yeah.
with all this, we're getting ready to have this uh, semi explosion, small explosion, hopefully, of people who are getting sick this week because all their kinfolk came in from all these other places. So,
Right.
so we're going to have that's to be expected, but that doesn't
Yep.
mean I want to be in the middle of it.
No.
I might
No.
be, I don't know. And I've
Any,
got one TV show I'm watching.
oh, yeah. What you watching? Oh, you don't have to tell me.
No, it's hee haw.
Oh,
It's
oh,
an
that's
old
okay.
hee haw.
I love hee haw.
I can't help. I know I'm a rube, but I can't help it.
Well, we're proud rubes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm a
Was
rube. You got a problem with it?
yeah. Was Dolly ever on hee haw?
Golly, I don't know. I mean, that would have been the right era for her as a young Dolly.
I saw I guess it was a meme yesterday, or somehow it was quoting something Dolly said. She said, "Well, no, I don't get offended when people call me a dumb blonde." She says, "Because I know I'm not dumb." She said, "Because I know I'm smart." That's what she said, and I know I'm not blonde.
She really is not. And you see photos of her without her dolly,
Yes,
and she looks like any big sister you would ever have. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
That's my sister Dolly.
yeah. Coat of Many Colors. She got and sang on 1971 on Hee Haw, and
Oh,
looks like she went there again in 1972. And evidently she joined Porter Wagner in at least one of those songs.
oh, of course.
Yeah. So good for her. Good for her. And good for me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. And I've been watching this show on Smithsonian that shows cities from the rooftop. They've got a drone kind of slowly flying over these cities, and they talk about what went on at this cathedral that it's flying over, and so on and so forth. And I'll
Oh,
probably, if I have time, I'll watch that. So
that sounds like fun. We've been watching a lot of British police procedurals. So, I know many more ways now of killing people and getting rid of the body. It seems like a big pain to have to get rid of the body, but what do I know?
oh,
Um, yeah, but we watch those in the evening. But I'm gonna be writing for the next 4 days, just making this book as good as I can make it again
I
before the editors tackle it and send me a whole bunch of. It's like getting a paperback from your college professor with a bunch of red all over it. This won't work. This won't. Rethink this. What is? But it's all to make it a better book, and it's a damn good book, I think.
I saw somebody put out a tribute kind of to you on Facebook. Was
Oh, my friend Jeff.
Yes, it was really a beautiful thing.
That was so sweet of him. He and I mean, like it says in there, we've known each other since we were in grad school, 1979.
Wow.
And yeah, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't say we're super close right now, but we still know each other and correspond and keep up on Facebook and stuff. He's a good guy, and his husband is a good guy. Yep.
And that's is it Jeff Suralka? I don't the one that
Oh no, this
foundation.
is Jeff Storer.
Gotcha. Right,
And
that's
I
the one that
still
shared the
think
memory.
he came from Florida. Um, and he did this thing when we were in grad school about Orlando and how much he just despised Orlando and the culture of Orlando. And he referred to it like it was a theme park of its own called Orlando Land. Orlando Land. And so now every time I hear the word Orlando, I say either aloud or to myself, oh, Orlando Land. Yeah, I know it very well.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Well, he's the one who he quoted you talking about the darkening times.
Yeah,
And I
that was very kind of him. He played, now I'm gonna circle back around to Christmas Carol.
okay.
When we did Christmas Carol in grad school, which of course we did because that's a great money maker, he played Mr. Fezziwig. And he is such an energetic guy, just one of those kind of ba-dum guys. And he played Mr. Fezziwig, and that dance, they did a dance number, and he was just amazing. He was a great best I've ever seen Mr. Fezziwig. And he also had at that time, he still has very curly hair, but at that time he had like it was the 70s, so it was like almost a fro of these beautiful curly hair, and it just kind of flopped all around when he was dancing. Oh, he was great. He was just great. Really wonderful actor and a good director. I mean, I say that I've only seen a couple of things he's directed, but I know he's a wonderful director.
This I wish somebody would do one of the, you know how with the Wizard of Oz, they redid the book, or not redid the book, but they added a story with another book where they kind of went in and they had it from Dorothy's side and from the Wicked Witch's side and so on.
Yeah.
I wish they would do that with Fezziwig.
Oh, tell the story of the Fezziwig family.
Yeah, because that would be interesting. Fezziwig's my favorite character in that story, and I don't know, I never knew why, but I think it's because there's more to him than you would think.
Yes, and because he is kind.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of kindness in there. There's sort of performative kindness, like the wealthy guys going from door to door asking for money. But there's not a lot of genuine kindness. And I mean, it was Dickens' era, like ours. It was not a time known for its kindness. And Fezziwig is jolly, and he's also very kind.
Right.
And he cares about his employees. He cares about his family. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, and also, I mean, you know it. As soon as you meet somebody like that, you know they've been through something profound.
Yes.
That's just the way it always is. And so I think that'd be an interesting story. Just in all your spare time, if you feel like.
Well, I mean, what do you imagine happened to him? Because I imagine that Mr. Fezziwig was raised in the poorhouse. That's what I think. I think his family got sent to the poorhouse, and probably all the children got separated out, went to various relatives, and that he worked his way up to being Mr. Fezziwig.
Probably, yeah. And yeah.
And Fezziwig might not even be his real name.
May not be. That's a good thought too. I never thought of that one. And he probably lost someone, a relative that was very dear to him, and then found him again. You think?
Oh, that's nice. Well, and I would think he lost his only son, because they talk about the Fezziwig girls.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole gaggle of Fezziwig girls.
Yeah.
And I bet they only had one son, and he died at 10 or 12.
Yeah. And there might have been a promise that he made to always be happy and festive. And yeah, see, Fezziwig's a deeper character than you would think at first glance.
And we just excavated all of that. That was fun.
We did. Yes, we did. Well, I want to spend some time outside in this week coming up. I think I'm going to go to the farm and just kind of walk a little bit.
Good.
I might go to the cottage and walk a little bit, if you don't mind. There's some.
No, you do whatever you want to. I was down there a couple of days ago to turn the heat up, make sure all the draft dodgers were in front of the doors, all that stuff, water the plants.
Was everything good?
Yeah, fine. It smells musty because we've not been in there, but it's all right. Well, girl, I miss you, and you and I need to get together and just, I don't know, drive down to Raven Gap, Georgia, or I don't know, something.
We can drive somewhere, or we can go to your porch, or we can go stir a cauldron, or we can you can crochet while I cook something or whatever. I don't care.
I love the idea of just sitting on the porch, and it's going to start to get warm a little bit. We could do that.
That
Yeah, or
is
go
very
out for
warm, when the
go out
sun
for a meal.
comes.
You've been promising me the best sushi in the world in Henderson County, so
Okay, pick your day. Pick your day. We can make it happen. We
we can make it happen. Y'all, thank you so much for listening to the ramblings today, because we are a little rambling today. A lot. We both got a lot on our minds, and we know y'all have a lot on your minds too. It's a fraught time,
Yeah.
and know that you're not alone unless you want to be
enjoy.
alone. And that's good. That's good too. Because right now Alicia's alone and she's kind of enjoying it.
Oh boy, do I. Yes, I love it. Anyway, yeah, enjoy this profound season, is what I would say. Enjoy
Yeah, that's
you
beautiful.
can, this profound season, and make it one that you can look back on and say, well, I did have a good time. Even
Yeah, I gleaned from it all I needed to glean.
and finish writing that book. I cannot wait until that book is out.
Well, I mean, I can send it to you once I've got these final chunks of edits. Like I'm taking a chunk out of chapter 2 and putting it in chapter 1, and that kind of just moving text around is all I'm doing really right now.
But
I've got some little this chapter is about blah blah blah. I got to write those and a couple other things, but yeah, it's a weird book. So I could send it to you right now. And you could go, oh, I'm reading this. What the hell is that, Byron? What the
I
hell is
can't
this?
wait.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I hope everybody will be.
Um,
And then I'll, I guess, start the next one.
yeah.
But
And-
next is the Appalachia book, and that's going to be hard because there's not a lot going for Appalachia right now. We are in a world of hurt, and nobody's going to come to our rescue.
But we've
The only
been
thing's going to save us is us, and I don't know that we've got the will to do it.
well. I mean, we've all been here before, but the difference is this time we may actually lose our region. The thing that makes Appalachia is the land, and the land is going away so fast, and it's being replaced with things and people that actually don't have a clue about what Appalachia is. And I'm being kind, because
You're being very kind.
they don't have a clue.
You didn't use the word carpetbagger, not even once.
Well, I was actually thinking willful ignorance, because there are people who do things and they don't want to know. They just want to go build where they want, do what they want, not think about what they're affecting. And, those are the ones that bother me the most. What they do.
Well, and I think that was very kind of you to say willful ignorance and not butt-ass greed, because that's what it is.
Yeah, I can't tell. You know what? I have a question for the listeners, which is, what do you like to do in the holidays that make them your holiday?
Great question.
So, and I hope everybody takes some time to be good to themselves if they have the time. And
yes, ma'am.
You don't have the time, be good to yourself.
Exactly. Do a little something for yourself.
Yep. And I reckon we'll probably talk, what do you think, another week, most likely.
Maybe even sooner than that.
I hope so.
All right. You take care of yourself. I'm going to take care of myself. And y'all out there, take care of yourselves.
And enjoy.
Hey, thank you for spending your time with us here at Wyrd Mountain Gals. We sure do appreciate it. I know time is the most important thing we have. So I promise that if you take your time to listen to us, we'll take our time to continue to be weird. Many thanks to Sunslice Records for all the help. We couldn't do it without you, Craig. Check out our social media for information, community, or a few laughs. WYRD Mountain Gals.
WYRD. Radio.
I'm cutting all that out. Nobody needs to hear that.